Hello, and welcome to the Quietly Visible podcast. I'm your host, Carol Stewart, founder of Abounding Solutions and author of Quietly Visible, Leading with Influence and Impact as an Introverted Woman. And this is a podcast for introverted women who like to thrive as leaders and in life. And today I'm having a conversation with Tiki Paige, who is a transformation coach and energy and sound healer. And we're going to be having an interesting discussion about why introverts get depleted of energy and how you can re-energize. So this is a topic which I know many of you will welcome because in your work environments, it can be very energy draining. So hello, Tiki, and welcome.
Hello, Carol. Thank you so much.
It's great to have you. Please tell us, who is Tiki? Tell us about Tiki.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Well, let's see. I've always been deeply connected to my energy, but like many introverts, I found myself often drained and overwhelmed by the world around me. So for years, I was unaware of how much other people's energy I was absorbing, which led me to feel depleted and sometimes even burnt out. So my journey began with my own healing process, which ultimately led me to help other introverted souls like myself. I first became fascinated with personality profiles while I worked for a large international airline. When I applied for a leadership role there, I had to take the Myers-Briggs test. This was my third time that I took it at the time, and I got the same result. So this led me down the path of personal development, life coaching, eventually spirituality, and energy healing. So now I see everything from a holistic perspective, blending science, intuition, energy work, neuroscience, to create a deeply fulfilling life. As a healer, transformation coach, energy worker, and sound healer, I specialize in helping highly ambitious women, especially introverts and empaths, release limiting beliefs and negative self-talk to unlock their full potential. I deeply believe in the power of energetic boundaries and self-care, both in work and life. And I think this is essential for us to thrive in life and our leadership roles. Outside of work, I love quiet mornings, deep conversations, traveling to places that nourish my soul. I'm also a big believer in the magic of solitude. It's where I do my best thinking, dreaming, and creating. I'm also a mom to two wonderful boys. I'm a bookworm. I love to read, avid traveler. I've lived on 4 continents. I was born in Africa, raised in Europe. I spent over 2 decades living and working in Asia, and I finally found home in America.
Great, thank you. Very interesting background that you've got, sort of having lived over 4 continents and sort of making that switch from the corporate environment to sort of doing the work that you're doing now. So what exactly is energy healing?
So we have a physical body, and we also have an energy body. Our energy body is our aura. That's our auric field. That is, this is what any energy that comes to us, actually first we feel it in our energy body, and then it can manifest. If it's bad energy, it can manifest on our physical body. So we also have 7 chakras, which are the wheels. They are the energy centers in our energy body. And if we are influenced by outside bad energy, if something drains our energy, it could be also limiting beliefs, something that conditioning when we're growing up, things that we hear, that we get used to, our habits. All this can actually influence our energy body. If there is a blockage, if there's a problem, then the energy can flow. It's like a pipe where water flows. If there's a blockage, the water won't be able to flow. So the water is no more clear. It's no longer clear, right? It becomes stale, and that's what happens to our body. So if there's a blockage that we don't deal with, it can actually manifest in our physical bodies as a sickness, as a disease. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Uh-huh. And the thing with people who are introverted, a lot of what is the sort of difference between sort of people who are introverted and extroverted is about how we energize, how we draw energy. Introverts can be overstimulated by being in environments where there's a lot of activity, a lot of people, which can drain our energy, make us want to retreat and recharge. And so why do you think that it's so important for introverts to be able to manage their energy?
That's absolutely, it's a great question. I have to tell you, for me, when I was younger, this was very difficult because, first of all, I wasn't aware of it. And second of all, there's some things that you do when you're not your authentic self. You tend to do things that are not you, just maybe to please people or to look acceptable in other people's eyes. And this is what introverts tend to do because we want to be accepted. If you put an introvert in a group of 10 people who keep talking and who are highly energetic in a different way, I'm not saying that introverts cannot be energetic, but that person is going to be completely drained. And if they want to fit in, they're going to have to use twice as much strength to fit into that society, group. So you can imagine when we go to work and when we have to sit in a meeting for, let's say, an hour, and sometimes it's back-to-back meetings, just imagine the energy depletion. And then you don't even have time to go to the bathroom or drink some water. That's not enough. You sometimes need 30 minutes just to sit by yourself, not talk to anyone, not look at anything, just, maybe even close your eyes. And that's where I think nowadays many offices have open office spaces, and that's not not the best solution for us introverts. Yeah.
It's not. Open plan offices can be a nightmare for people who are introverted. I remember one woman telling me that it was so bad that she was actually thinking of leaving the organization rather than having to sit in an open planned office. When she was working from home, it was okay, but then because they wanted her back in the office, she was she's really seriously thinking about leaving the organization.
Yeah.
So if you sort of think back to your life in corporate, what was it like for you, and how did you become aware of energy? What was it like, your energy, like when you worked in corporate, and how did you become aware of the importance of this?
Yeah. So before I moved to corporate, I was working for the international airline that I mentioned, and this was actually even worse because every day you meet different people, and every day you're exposed to hundreds of people on one flight, for example. And every time I would go on a flight, you have to put on a mask, but it's not a mask. It's not that it's not you. You're still you. It's just that you are pumping that energy into yourself to survive 12 or 15-hour flights. And then you get to your hotel room and then you close the door and you just want to take a shower, take your book and go to bed. That's it. Honestly, I don't even understand how people go out and party. So then when I moved to corporate, then I, there was a pattern that continued for me. I would be, let's say, I would have campaigns that went on from 8 a.m. to midnight, with very short breaks in between. And, we're hard workers, we can do this. I always thought that no problem, whatever you throw at me, I'll handle it. But it came at a price, If I went on a campaign for, let's say, 7 to 10 days, I would be completely drained. And that's when something clicked. When I got home one day, I realized that I hadn't slept well for over a week. I didn't eat well at all. I kept myself on energized on Snicker bars and Mars bars and all these, sugary treats that are not good for your body. And that's how it all started. That for me, that was the path. I said, okay, there's something wrong here, and I have to look at it. So that's why I said I look at everything. I have a very holistic approach to my to healing, to what I do with my clients, because it's the whole body. You can't just say, okay, this is the problem, we have to deal with it. No, we have to look at the whole picture.
Yeah. And what you said there about having like Snickers and sugary chocolate bars, a lot of people do that thinking that is going to give them energy, but it doesn't, does it?
No, exactly. Yeah. It just spikes your insulin and it keeps you in that loop constantly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it becomes a vicious circle, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And another thing that you mentioned about putting on a persona, sort of people acting extroverted, I guess, as you would call it, putting on that persona, that in itself is you're expending a lot of energy, which on top of the environment, and if you're in a sort of a very busy back-to-back meeting type environment, can be very draining.
Exactly.
So first of all, you recognized what was going on for yourself. So what did you do for yourself? And then we'll sort of talk about how you then help people to balance their energy, manage their energy.
That's a great question, Carol. Yes, thank you. So the first thing for me was to set boundaries. That was number one thing that I had to work on, because I had no boundaries at all. Sometimes, if I'm completely honest, sometimes when my friends would come and they called me to go somewhere after work, for example, and I had no energy. I didn't want to be there. I have the joy of missing out, not the fear of missing out, joy. So I would hide. I wouldn't answer my phone. I would hide in my bed, and they came and they knocked on the door. Where are you? We're leaving. I didn't want to go. So I said, no, I can't do this. These are my friends. I don't want to lie to them. So I said, okay, let's do this. So slowly, very slowly, I started setting really small boundaries at work and in life. So if somebody invited me, I would say, let me check my schedule. I'll get back to you. That would give me enough time to, think things through and make a decision. Then also the way I ate, how I fed my body, how I took care of myself, that everything came into picture. So slowly, I looked at all the things that were draining my energy, all the energy vampires. Then also people. I looked at the people that were draining my energy every time I spoke to them, whether it's over the phone, in person, at work, wherever. And then you just minimize that time that you spend with them. And very very small steps, but very important steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do your clients recognize that they have a problem?
Oh, that's
So
a great question.
yeah, how when they come to you, what have they recognized within themselves?
Usually they have, it's either burnout, that's number one thing, or sometimes they just book a call, they want to speak to someone, and then through a series of questions, I find out what the problem is. And most of the time they cry, they release that blocked energy initially in that first call. Oh, they feel so much lighter. But then that's the moment when the transformation begins. That's the major part of the healing process. Because of course, healing is a process. It's ongoing. So yeah, it's not just one event.
Yeah, and what you say about burnout, sadly for many women, it's when it gets to burnout when they do something about it. So before it gets to that stage, what are the signs that people could look out for?
That's great. Yes. Well, I would say because we all live on autopilot, most of the population. We're all
Mm-hmm.
busy. We have so many things to finish during the day. But then at the same time, we waste a lot of time on things that are not really nurturing. Like, for example, scrolling down your Instagram feed or checking your Facebook, all these things. And if you sit down and just put it on paper and say, okay, how long did I just look at my Instagram? Like how much time? And if you say, let's say 1 hour, that's 60 minutes of doing nothing but just not helping yourself. Honestly, it's how can I say? It's draining your energy. Many people
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that. Even if you're just sitting and just scrolling, there's so much information that you take in, the pictures that you see. It's like your brain is buzzing all of a sudden with information you don't need, instead of sitting in silence for 60 minutes. So I would say you sit and you look at your life and see where you have all those energy leaks. That's the main thing. That's the main thing. What somebody should do to realize if they're burnt out, how they feel every day. If you feel triggered, let's say you're driving, somebody cuts you off in traffic, or you get to the supermarket, somebody doesn't see you, they go in front of you. Excuse me, I was there before you. All these things. You get triggered by really small things. They're irrelevant. The way you eat, the way you take care of your body, the way you speak to people, and the way you allow people to speak to you at the same time. Also, something very important that is not very obvious is how we speak to ourselves. So there are words that we use daily that become our habit. So let's say, somebody gives you a task and you look at it and you think, oh, I'll never be able to do that. I'm not qualified enough. But somebody put trust in you and said, yeah, sure, you can do it. And instead of saying, no, I can't do it, and repeating that in your mind, you take the task, you look at it, and you do it. And that's how you move. You move forward, you go, you cross another obstacle, and your whole perception changes when you cross you're actually on the right path, right? When you think about it, so many of my clients have that, how can I explain? They have the feeling when you're always in a state of discomfort, like you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling like something is just about to crush you, and you might not be able to sleep. Insomnia is one of the biggest problems for people who are burned out. You would think, oh, somebody who's really in that stage, they should be able to sleep well because they're tired. They need to recuperate their energy. But no, that's something that doesn't happen often.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we look at all the things that are happening in your life, and we make a plan and we start working on it.
Yeah. And what you said about the scrolling and the information, I do think that we are many, the majority of us, I think, are overloaded with information and the noise that comes from social media, online, and so forth. It's, I myself can be guilty at times of just scrolling mindlessly. You just go to look at one thing, and then before you know it,
Yeah.
a lot of time has gone by and you're still scrolling, and then there's just so much information coming at us, and WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, just so much being bombarded that our minds are just so consumed with it all.
Yes.
And that, what you said, just having that moment, or those moments of just being still, is so important. A couple of years ago,
Yes.
I went on a digital detox. It was
Mm-hmm.
I think it was about 3 or 4 days, and no phones, no internet or anything like that. And it was so refreshing. I came away from there really feeling rejuvenated, re-energized. And I said, I'm not going back to those old habits.
That's
But
wonderful. Yes.
yeah, but gradually, slowly creep back into
Mm.
those old ways. Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So what's the process that you take people through when someone comes to work with you? How
Mm-hmm.
do you get them from being either burnt out or on the verge of burnt out to feeling more their energy is more balanced, that they're more energized, that yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, well, the first thing, as I mentioned, we have a little chat about what's going on in their lives, and most of the time you will find things out that they will never mention, either on the form or when they speak to you initially. It's something that is much deeper. It could be even that they live in in terrible conditions. Maybe they have an abusive spouse. Maybe they have a problem with a family member. There's so many underlying issues. But sometimes you find there are people who are seemingly, they seem very well off. They seem happy. Everything's working out well. But then when you scratch the surface, you find details that you realize that we all have certain fears and things that that maybe keep us awake at night. So when I get to that moment, when I find out the root cause of the problem, then we continue with the healing. I usually do like an energy scan. It's a very simple process that I do to get to know my client better and to see where the blocks are.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that moment on, we continue working. Um, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And over how long a period does it take for someone to get those boundaries in place and get their energy back, so to speak?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. Well, it depends. Of course, it all depends on the individual, how much work they put in. Sometimes I get clients who come to me and they say, "Oh, heal me." I said, "Well, I can't heal you if you don't heal yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just there to guide you, of course. But we heal ourselves, and that's what many people don't realize, that we are the healers. So the more work you put, the better outcome is going to be. And sometimes people feel the shift immediately, and they see that, oh my goodness, this is where I've been blocked. That I need to I need to get over this. You know, so they realize that this is the problem. Let me work on it. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
limiting beliefs can be sometimes difficult to spot. So let's say you say to me, okay, look, I have this limited belief that money is really hard to make because if I don't work hard, I won't make enough. But that might not be the root cause. Do you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
as long as we are aware of it, yes, we know there's something, but we might not know what the underlying belief is. So that's how I spot things that are they're not very obvious, and yeah, and that's the that's the how can I say, that's the basis of energy healing. It's it's how I do the work. And you asked how long it takes. Well, it's individual. As I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it could be one session, sometimes it could be 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on how long they want to work on it. Even if they're okay, sometimes people just come for maintenance. You know, they come and they say, okay, look, I'm going through this. I just want to get rid of it, and we work on it. So
Yeah. And when you think about yourself, um, how do you now protect your energy?
oh, that's a great question. Yeah, you know, after so many years, I have lots of different techniques that I use.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for introverts, this is something that I do every single morning that I want to share with your listeners. Before I leave the house, I just imagine that I'm surrounded by, I call it my big pink bubble of safety. It doesn't have to be pink, it can be any color, but it's a bubble of safety that is, I just envision it around me from my toes all the way up to my crown, and that's it. It takes a few minutes, maybe a minute, just to visualize it, and then I say a little mantra or an affirmation. And when I leave the house, I know that I'm protected. So even when I'm not aware that something is happening around me that could be draining my energy, I'm still protected. And that really gives me a lot of peace. Also, if this is a great thing for us introverts, because we tend to overthink. And even though we know we're really good at sitting alone by ourselves, which many people can do, this is, I think, one of the hardest things. But because we overthink, we spend too much time in our heads. So when you find yourself overthinking, or if you're sitting in a meeting where you want to say something so badly, but you don't have the courage, or you don't want to make a fool of yourself. I don't want to say it that way, but I remember, for me, this is what I felt so many times in meetings when I wanted to say something that was valuable, but I just thought, oh, if I say it in a different way, they might think that I didn't understand or something like that. So the best thing to do is put your hands on your heart and just listen to yourself breathe. And it takes 30 seconds. And it calms you down. It gets you from your head all the way to your heart, and you just feel your energy. This is your electromagnetic field, your heart. It's the easiest way to ground yourself immediately.
Sounds great. And that technique that you've described, how can women implement that sort of during the course of the day? How would you suggest they do that during the course of the busy day?
Well, before you leave the house, make sure you do the safety bubble around you. When you leave the house, if you find yourself that you are surrounded by people who are draining your energy, excuse yourself just for a few minutes. People won't mind. Excuse me, I have to get some water. I need to use the loo. Anything that if you need an excuse, but you don't really need an excuse, right? Find a way to prioritize your energy over anything else, because we tend to be lovable because people like us, because we're good listeners, we are there to help, we're empaths, but we forget about ourselves, and that's the main thing that we need to actually remember. So take care of yourself first, and even if you're in a meeting, in a busy place where there's a lot of people, lots of people are talking, just find a way to excuse yourself for a moment. If you can't, I would say place your hands over your heart, or you can also, if you have, maybe carry an essential oil that calms you down, like lavender. And when you put it on your hand and smell it, it will ground you. You'll remember, oh, okay, this is what I use before bedtime. This is the time when I wind down. It will actually help you calm down as well. Crystals also help. I don't know if you like crystals, but they're amazing for anyone who would like to try them. They have healing powers. And if you carry, let's say, an amethyst and you put it in your pocket or your purse, or you can even carry it, the best thing to do is to carry it in your hand when you feel that your energy is being drained. That's a really good way to protect yourself. There are different crystals, of course, that can protect you from other influences and bad energies, but I won't go into detail there. But it's just to be aware of it, that there are different ways to protect yourself. But I would say the bubble of safety is my main thing, and it works every single time. There's just one more thing when you get home after a busy day. Make sure you take a shower, because when we take a shower and we shower from the top of our head, all the energy that we picked up actually releases. So it goes away from us, And then what I do is I do a little visualization before I go to bed, cutting cords with anyone who came in contact with me. So it doesn't mean, it could be your family. Doesn't mean that you're cutting cords with them, like you're saying, oh no, I don't want you in my life anymore. No, you're just cutting the energetic cords to make sure that your energy field is clear. And then you start a new day, you use it again, that visualization, and start all over again.
Great. And one of the things that you mentioned in terms of what you talked about solitude. And yes, tell us a bit about that and why that is so important.
Oh, solitude, yes. I like to write, and I know that many of your guests before me had some amazing insights. Like I remember, I think it was Rosalind who was there recently. She was your guest. She said some really good things about writing and how introverts are much better writers than speakers. And I think that's absolutely true. So when I sit, I have to sit with myself at least for half an hour every day. So even my kids know that after 8 p.m., we don't do anything. We just sit and relax. They're used to that. One of my boys is extroverted and the other one is introverted. So I learned a lot from my extroverted son. We found a way to balance our energy. Yeah. So I like to write. I journal. I've been journaling for over 2 decades. I like to see my thoughts on paper. That's how I organize my thoughts. You know, extroverted people, they organize their thoughts through talking. They like to ask other people for opinion, but we introverts, we actually sit with our thoughts on paper. And for me, it's sometimes reading a book, writing, sometimes just sitting in nature. I just like to go and just observe what's happening around me. And it can only be 5 to 10 minutes a day if you don't have time. Just, your lunch break. You don't have to sit in a busy restaurant. You can just go outside and eat your lunch on the bench and enjoy the view.
Yeah, and I do think that's important. And journaling is something that I do on a regular basis. In the morning, I like to sort of get up and have some solitude time, do a devotional, and journal as well. And it, really helps me with my self-reflection, just working through my thoughts. And it's something that I highly recommend as well.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a really interesting discussion, and I think it is important that introverted people, introverted women, are aware that certain things will drain their energy, and when they're depleted of energy, the effects of that and the impact it will have for them not being at their optimal self. So this has been a very interesting discussion. Thanks. What is the best way for people to connect with you, to find out more about you and what your work, in the work that you do?
Yes. So when you mentioned now that you went on a digital detox, I gave up social media 6 months ago. I'm doing a little experiment for a whole year to see how I can connect with people other than social media. So I know how important it is because it does connect the whole world, but at the same time, I listened to myself and my gut said, no, you're going to do this. So I'm not at the moment, I'm not on social media, but you can visit my website, www.soulfultiki.com. And you can send me a message or come and say hi, and I'd love to hear from you.
Good. And I think you said that you had something for listeners, viewers.
Yes. So I have a meditation. It's a short meditation that will help them ground themselves and protect their energy before they start the day. And it comes with a little workbook that will guide them through some prompts just to become aware of where the energy leaks are and how they can better protect their energy during the day.
And do they access that through your website?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so we will put the link in the show notes so that people can just access it that way. So great, thank you. So before we go, how is it going not being on social media?
Well, I have to say it's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes. I have a lot more time now to do other things.
Yes, I can
Yes,
well
yes,
imagine. Yeah. But
yeah.
as a business owner, how how are you then? Because we've got so used to
Mhm.
social media for marketing purposes. So how are you going about um yeah, doing your business without social media?
Yeah, so I have a blog, and
Hmm.
I do post on Pinterest, but I don't consider Pinterest social media because it's not a it's more of a search engine um, than a social media website. So I post there. It's just my ideas, something that whenever I find something interesting, I put my ideas there. It's just for me to have a creative outlet.
Hmm.
But there are amazing ways, like even if you, even through my clients who I work with one-on-one, um, it's incredible how many people you can meet through one person. And then one person tells the other person that, oh, look, I had a great session with this coach. Why don't you try it? So yes, I know it's a bit slower than if you were on Instagram or Facebook, but I said to myself that I'm willing to take that risk and see
Hmm.
how it goes. And yes, so far it's going well, I have to say.
Great. So do you think you'll go back to social media or will you
I
continue off it?
I don't know. I'll see
Hmm.
after I complete the full year. Yeah.
Yeah. And how far into the year are you?
6 months.
6 months. Oh wow, so you're
Yes.
halfway there.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be great to see how what when the year is up. I presume you'll blog about it, won't you?
Hmm.
The experience. So that'll be interesting. I'll have to keep an eye out for that to see
Yes,
what the
absolutely.
experience has been like. Well, thank you so much, Tiki. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you
Um,
so much, Carol. Thank you for having
you're
me.
you're welcome. And listeners, do go to her website and take advantage of the free resource that she's offering to you, that she's gifting to you, because it sounds like it would be a great way just to help you set your day up. Thank you for listening. And if you are looking to increase your confidence, influence, and impact, if you haven't completed the free assessment on my website, go to aboundingsolutions.com. Under the free resources, free resources, there's an assessment that you can complete that will give you ideas about areas that you can focus on. And so until the next time, bye.